Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to break down the series, the Netflix series 1899 from the makers of the Dark series. Dark series came out, gosh, what's it been now? 5 years now? The Dark series came out. It's all about portals opening every 33 years. It was about time travel and all these other things that we covered. Now, we had covered the Dark series. We broke that down. There weren't a lot of videos on the Dark series, but you can go back on the channel and search Dark, and you'll find a couple of videos that we did on the Dark series. Now, the series opens with a ship full of passengers trying to escape their pasts. Of course, it's set in 1899. The ship then encounters a second missing ghost ship that's almost identical to the ship that they're on. But the ghost ship brings with it supernatural phenomenon. There's a boy and a man, and they are the only survivors of the ghost ship. And the boy carries with him a pyramid and scarab beetle that opens up doors. Watch.
How did you just disappear?
The boy! That thing he had, the pyramid. I know that this sounds crazy, but he somehow stopped time with it.
Now, of course, these opening scenes give us our first clues that the series will be all about opening doors and portals, time and space, the nature of our reality. So, next you're going to hear this woman. She's the doctor of the ship, and she's actually from the other ship as well. You don't find that out till later. But she explains that the ships basically are merely constructs of the human mind. And essentially we are the ships. Watch.
My father devoted his life to the study of human behavior. He's obsessed with understanding the brain and all its functions. I think that this is some kind of experiment. He was never interested in owning a fleet of ships. I'm sure he did something to these ships to study the passengers on board.
Now, I want you to look at these images of ships and how they're constructed. And we're going to compare them to the human rib cage. Here is the belly of one such of these vessels. And as you can see, it has a spine, which is the keel of the ship. You could also flip this around and call this maybe the stern or the sternum of your rib cage. And so I went into some 3D images of the actual human rib cage. And what I found was just unbelievable. This is a 3D version of the human rib cage. Of course, this is the sternum. And when you look inside and flip this around, you get what almost appears to be the shape of a heart in the center. And when you compare this image to what a boat actually looks like, you get the same image here at the center, which is essentially a spade shape or a heart shape. In fact, these cross members in a ship are actually called ribs. So we have all these parts of the ship that are named after the human rib cage. Sternum, stern, you have the ribs of the ship, which are the ribs, obviously, in the hull of the ship. And then you have this heart shape. And there's more to this. Because what is a ship filled with? Well, it's obviously filled with organs. All of the organs of your body, as a matter of fact. This begs so many more questions. Because the organs seem to represent creation inside the human body, doesn't it? Think of Noah's Ark and all of the animals of creation stored inside of the rib cage. Think of baptism and how a boat is submerged in water. It's like you are submerged in water when you were baptized, taking you through a portal, grafting you in with Christ. Notice how everything in the Old Testament pointed forward to Christ, including the flood story, the baptism of Noah's Ark in the waters, pointing forward to Jesus' birth and him saving the world through his sacrifice. Now, let's get into some other aspects of this show called 1899. Because next you're going to see that the ship contains these narrow portal shafts that allow some of the passengers to enter into different worlds. But the problem is that even though they think they're in a completely different world, they find themselves still stuck inside the ship. Let's watch.
I don't know how it works, but somehow this thing opens doors.
Notice the black tiles. We've talked a lot about the tiles, haven't we? Then the ugly side of the ship reveals itself. A black material. And this material can exist in different states. It can exist as like a mineral, like almost like a quartz, but also it can transform into dust as well as a black goo. And one of the first things we see happen is that this material injects and infects anyone who touches this. And in this case, this woman's right hand. Like the mark. Watch. So it's obvious at this point that the black goo is black DNA, and it's an infective agent. Now, she gives it away as to what this is when she says that her problem is that she's a little seasick. As you see here, she says it in French, but you can see the subtitle here. After they ask her, what's wrong? What's wrong? Because she started acting weird after she got pricked or poked with the black goo. You guys are telling us exactly what they're doing to us. Poking and pricking us to infect us. They're telling us in these movies and shows. It's programming. Now, why is this a clue that when they ask her if she's okay, she says she's just a little seasick? Well, the iodine-rich ocean has the most copper blue-blooded creatures in it, filled with squids, mollusks, octopus, which are copper-based blue blood organisms. The copper is the mark. Now, lots of pyramid symbolism. In fact, I just finished the Manifest series. We'll be tackling that on Sunday. And it too had pyramid and Egyptian symbolism. This is who these people worship. It's New Age beliefs. And they're trying to seed this into your consciousness. Now, this is very, very important for you to understand. And not get mixed up in Kundalini and ancient Egyptian gods and thinking that this is the truth. Because God battled the Egyptian gods with a little g, didn't he? And he showed his glory. He had Aaron go up against the Egyptian magicians, Janus and Jambres, didn't he? J and J, Janus. Because they had no real magic or real power. This is why it's so important not to fall for the psyop that is afoot by Christian channels trying to tell you that Yahweh was the devil. Because as soon as you accept that and think that's true, then you reject everything from the Exodus, from God's people being imprisoned by the Egyptians, because all of that was God was protecting them from all of that. Wasn't he? So if you believe that Yahweh was the devil, then you basically dismiss all of that. And you do not learn the lessons and stories of God's judgment in the Old Testament. You do not learn the lessons and stories that everything Yahweh did in the Old Testament was pointing forward to Jesus. You reject all of that if you believe what people are lying to you about. People ask, why are you here? What do you do on YouTube? Well, part of it is getting rid of disinformation, Christian disinformation that's happening as well, that's trying to steer you toward Egyptian worship and accepting Egypt. Part of that accepting Egypt is thinking that Yahweh was the devil. Don't believe it. Now, the eye is the window to the soul, a portal. Now they show that here as this character in the series has a vision. It's actually not a vision. He actually goes through back and forth through these portals through the eye, and they show the pyramid in his eye. Watch.
Wake up.
So these characters keep waking up, and they're in completely different places as they pass through these portals. Now, as I mentioned before, the entire reality is trapped inside the ship. And this reminds me of the entire world being trapped inside of Noah's Ark. It's essentially what they're trying to depict here. And the walls of the construct are hidden just out of our reality, where nobody would think to look. Behind corners, inside dark corners, just outside of the perceptible spectrum. But yet in plain sight. But nobody bothers to dig any deeper. And when you're a channel like ours, and you can peek around corners and see the imperceptible as a gift of the Holy Spirit, people shame you for it, or they say, oh, that has nothing to do with that. Or they say, oh, there's no connection there. Well, we are seeing connections that are actually really there. It's just because it's outside of people's perceptible reality, they don't want to accept it. They don't want to shift their paradigm to actually see the spiritual realm. So this guy is an operative for one of the characters on the ship, and everybody else thinks the ship's this old 1899 clunker with the old technology, but they don't realize that hidden away in the recesses of the ship is very advanced technology. In this case, this guy knows this, and he goes in through a drawer, a void behind a drawer, and he pulls out this device. So you see this super technology mixed in with archaic technology, but only certain people can see it. Now, you saw earlier that the subterranean portals lead to these alternate realities. They're all lined, these portals are lined with this black tile. Well, the word tile backwards is what? I'm going to go into the chat because I want to make sure you guys are with me, and we'll do a little Q&A here so you guys can be part of the show. What is the word tile backwards? Now, you're going to, again, the imperceptible turns perceptible through spiritual eyes, doesn't it? People will think, oh, that's silly. That's ridiculous that you would turn the word tile backwards to try to find meaning in it. Well, I'm going to show you in a second, as soon as I get the answer, that it's not crazy, because my belief was confirmed in this next scene that I'm going to show you. Elite. Yes, Tracy. Now watch this.
His name is Elliot. His name is Elliot.
So we find out about 5 episodes into it that the boy's name is Elliot, which is essentially the word tile backwards. And what does Elliot do? He has the scarab beetle, which allows doors to unlock. He can go through portals. So, Elliot, elite, tile.
He's our son.
Now, of course, like all ships, this ship is full of black coal, and this is what feeds the engines. And I began to think about what the spiritual symbolism could be for our ships being powered by black coal, because we are the ships, right? And then the Holy Spirit opened my eyes, and it told me that what the coal represents is the cursed dust. We cannot live forever because we are made out of the cursed dust, which is already full of sin. It's already had blood spilt on it. It's already cursed through the first murder. God told us it was cursed, but very few people want to truly believe that. They don't want to understand the spiritual dynamic behind what that actually means. When the ground is cursed, it no longer can sustain life forever, which was the original plan, because we were close to God, right? The only way that we can live forever is through Jesus' sacrifice. This is why he picked up dust on the ground and spit in it and was able to heal someone's eyes, wasn't he? Yes, he was. So now you're starting to understand what the dust actually really means on a spiritual level. Here we are, our ships full of coal, full of cursed dust. We cannot live forever anymore, except on the other side, after we've already accepted Jesus. It's interesting too that the world's economies are based off of this coal, isn't it? Now next we're going to get an explanation about how the people and the ships are stuck in a time loop simulation.
Dozens of times. Every simulation runs 8 days. This time it will be different. I'll anchor us to it, so we will go through the same port. This will buy us more time. None of the ships have ever made it to their destination.
Ports, portals.
You're caught in a loop, simulation after simulation.
One shouldn't base a choice on love, anger, hate. They're just silly feelings that cloud the mind.
Now, by the end of it, most of the characters die because of love in the end. And they never make it out of the Matrix. But here's the deceptive programming here. Because what did Jesus say? He said there is no greater love than to give your life for your brother. Didn't he?
But that's what makes them weak. It's human nature's ultimate flaw.
So obviously this guy's telling a lie. That, oh, he thinks that emotions are useless and all this. Well, those emotions are what make you want to give up your life for the person that you love. Now he's trying to find out a way out of this as well. He's trapped like the other characters. This man here, let's back it up here so we can get a picture of this guy. This guy right here. But he seems to be in some kind of control in this simulation. He's manipulating all the characters. He watches them through televisions, like surveillance, as all this is going down. And he's basically trying to find a way out himself. And what you begin to realize is that there are several different layers of reality. There's layers of control and power. And even though he's one layer above the people that are stuck in the ships, he's still stuck himself. And that's when you begin to realize that this is really all about the nested reality. Realities within realities. Russian dolls of realities, which is a concept that we've been talking about for the past 2 to 3 years now, haven't we? Now you're starting to see it depicted in fiction, because they don't want you to know about the nested reality. And really they're trivializing this because the Bible talks about things on earth bound in heaven, doesn't it? There's a link between this reality and the spiritual reality. And what we also have is the nested reality of creation. So we have smaller things representing bigger things. Like I just showed you with the human rib cage. It's a boat. But it's not just that it's a boat. It's all of the other stuff that comes along with it. The link to the rib cage and baptism and Jesus. When Jesus talks about the body of Christ, it means so much more than just a group of people. He's literally talking about our bodies are like clues to how his organization works. Makes you wonder if all of the organs of the internal rib cage could possibly represent each of the prophets or something like that. Now, I don't know that. I would have to do a study on that to see if that was true. But isn't that amazing? Isn't God amazing? And what would that do if we did find a connection between the organs of the body and the prophets of the Bible? Well, wouldn't it really just prove who the Most High is? Because what scientists did you know back when the Bible was written and all these things happened that knew the physiology of an organ? Literally nobody knew. They knew there was stuff inside of people's bodies, but they didn't know what they did and what they meant. There was a time where people thought that the stomach ran everything. They thought your stomach was your brain. They had all kinds of crazy ideas, but nobody knew exactly what we know now about these organs and their exact functions. So what if, I do know that the Bible says that Abraham's bosom, so right there, you have an organ relating to a prophet. So we'll probably do a study on that one day. Maybe that will be our next body code study that we do. The organs of the body, and seeing if there's a connection between their functions and all of the prophets and patriarchs of the Bible. Jesus would likely be the heart, wouldn't he? But we have to confirm all that. So, this guy right here thinks that the way out of all this is to insert a key into a capstone of a pyramid.
That's what makes them weak. It's human nature's ultimate flaw.
So the whole movie, or not movie, but the series, he's looking for this key. And he's like, if I can just get the key and turn it into the capstone of this pyramid, I'll be able to escape the Matrix, right? But then he realizes later that the code was changed and the key doesn't work anymore.
Why is it not working? He changed the code.
So very Matrix-esque kind of overtones with this series. And then to my shock, again, another concept that we've broken down over the years. Portals are whirlpools. And I remember we first started talking about this, you know, people didn't believe it. And now here we see it depicted in fiction. Well, why do you think they're depicting it in fiction? Because they want to tell a lie about it, don't they? Whirlpools are portals. God presented himself as a pillar, which is a whirlwind, tornado, portal, whirlpool, whatever you want to call it, of fire by night and cloud by day. We also have God manifesting as a tempest when Elijah was taken up. And there are at least 2 or 3 other examples of whirlpools opening or tornadoes or spirals opening when supernatural things begin to appear in the Bible. So, the old guy shuts down the program because he has that control in this simulation, and the ship goes into a whirlpool portal. Essentially a black hole sun, and then it reemerges into a ghost shipyard. Watch. So obviously this is everything we've been talking about. And next you're going to see them start to climb around inside the wiring of the ship. And of course, they explain that this is metaphor for the neural pathways of the brain. Watch.
Some kind of imitation of the brain, and the different areas are connected to each other.
Now, this last episode is where the series goes off the rails. And if you're fortunate enough to make it to today's show and get to this point of the decode, you're about to see something that may be troubling for some. But it's the truth. Because what you're going to see are 2 injections. Where have we heard that before? One injection opens a portal to one place, and the other injection opens the portal to another place. And we've been talking about the injections being portals, haven't we? Before this ever filmed. And yet you're going to see exactly what we were talking about depicted before we started talking about it. Watch.
This may hurt.
He injects the boy with a white substance. It sends him into a different reality. He wakes up to see his mother, and then she injects him with a black substance, which sends him back to the other man.
You saw the truth, didn't you?
We've seen the truth. You think we're all stupid, don't you? Well, hopefully people are woken up by what they just saw and will apply that to our current reality. Stop walking into traps. It's about all I could say about all this, because we're really just talking about fiction, aren't we? It's their fiction, and they think we're all stupid. Notice how one of the shots was on the left and one was on the right. Wonder what that's about. Now let's move on to the next scenes here. Some of the passengers escape, only to find that the ones that they love are trapped in these tanks and trunks full of black goo, the dark water baptism. Now we did more decodes on dark water tanks, didn't we? So here we go again.
You're trapped in this simulation so your mother can keep you alive.
You're lying.
You can't make this up, you guys. So if you're interested in looking at some of these older videos where we already had started to cover these dark water tank concepts, I think I did a playlist called Dark Waters or Dark Tanks or something. And if I haven't, I will put that together so you can see them all strung together when we first started talking about all this. Now, this lady, this infected lady, I forgot to mention this, but you'll notice she's got the colors of the dragon, green and black. And it's the same colors as the scarab beetle that the boy had. And the whole point to all this is that these colors represent structural color, iridescence. What is structural color? Well, it's not color by pigment and light reflecting off the pigment. It's the actual shape of the structure that causes light to reflect off of it. Not pigment. Structural color. And certain animals have this ability. Scarab beetles, peacocks, certain berries have this quality to them. This is also what you see in an unclean mollusk in the inner lining of the shell. You'll see this structural color. It's like an iridescent type of look to it. Okay? Next, you're going to hear this guy talk about the two choices you have when you're born into this reality. What will you be? Will you be a seeker or will you be an avoider? Will you be someone who accepts the reality and doesn't ask any questions? Or somebody who hunts for the truth, no matter how troubling that truth might be? The Bible says the truth will set you free, doesn't it? I feel very free from this matrix. I have no fear in my life. I don't have any fear of dying because I know where I'm going when this world's over. I have no fear of making the wrong choice about a presidential candidate because I don't make the choice, because the choices are stacked. And God revealed that to me, that all of the people at the top are on the same side. I don't have any fear of money because I don't seek to stack up a bunch of money that I can then lose. You see how the truth truly does set you free? Yes, we mourn for those who are still asleep, but we also have a faith that God will somehow supernaturally reach those people in the 11th hour of their life or some other way. We have to have faith that He will reach them and read their hearts. And if their heart is dark, obviously, they won't make it. But if their heart is good, we have to believe that God will find a way, don't we? Let's listen to this next part, because here's more of the disinformation that they're trying to, communicate through subliminally through these movies and TV shows. They want you to just go along to get along. It's not worth it to seek, because if you seek, your life's going to be full of pain. Well, that's a lie. The Bible says the truth will set you free.
To be a seeker brings nothing but pain. We're born into this world either a seeker or an avoider. To be an avoider is pure bliss. Contrary to your brother, you were born a seeker. You will open every door, step into the darkest voids, driven by the urge to gain more knowledge. Isn't that what God is?
So next, you're going to hear more deception as he twists the nested reality to try to seed doubt about God. He basically says that if we live in a nested reality, then isn't God living in a nested reality too? And of course that's not true. God created our reality this way so that we could find him. It's a roadmap. The roadmap of the nested reality is that you can keep drilling down to see God. I mean, not literally see God, but understand who the Most High is. Okay? Our entire reality is based on a tree. Everything is a tree. It's a fractal. And when you keep drilling down, you get all the way back to the tree of life. We all bear fruit in our families, in our children. We have limbs. We have a trunk. We have a crown of our head. We become fruitful. The ground is the dust. Unfortunately, we're in cursed dust. That's what trees grow out of. Right? When you keep drilling down, you see the core of it all, which is the Most High. Of course, God would make a roadmap back to him.
The creator of our reality. But then it's the world God is living in that's real. And we are just his doll's house. In a way, this here is a doll's house. And then again, who created God? Doesn't it go on endlessly? It's time to forget again.
So they make the characters forget, and they send them around in portals with these 2 shots. And then we discover that all of this is happening inside the mind of a single character, which is the woman you just saw. And that they keep erasing her mind over and over again so that they can all try to escape.
Whatever he's told you, it's not true. I didn't create this.
You have to wake up. You have to stop him. But you have to leave now. This is so much bigger than you think.
So she puts her wedding ring, of course, the corona, the ring, right? All goes back to that. So now you see the truth. You have coronal rings, you have 2 injections, everything. This is who these people worship. It's the crowned serpent. She puts it in this, pyramid, Rubik's Cube, Rubik's Pyramid. And this is what is how she finally escapes the Matrix. Where does she wake up to? Watch. She wakes up into another ship, a spaceship, called the Prometheus. Now notice that in suspended animation are all these other characters inside the spaceship, and they are in sarcophagus like a pharaoh, and they're all in some kind of simulation. The name of the ship is called the Prometheus. Now there's a whole storyline behind the Prometheus as well. That is, I guess, the god that gave man fire, or tried to teach man technology and fire and all these things. And he was punished by the other gods. So we go from ocean vessel to space vessel. Now, I don't believe in space the way they describe it, but we do know there are waters below and waters above, according to the book of Genesis, don't we? So that would represent the ocean-going vessels and the space vessels. She reads the readout. Here's some kind of coordinates. Survival mission to 42 by negative 44. Some kind of mission to seed whatever the universe. So more space deception, which is eventually where all this is headed with the agenda. We're going to have us everybody's minds in the stars, the fake stars, instead of having your eyes fixed on heaven, which is outside of this reality. Okay? Not in this life, not in this reality. It's in the new reality. So, date October 19th, and I think it's 2099. I didn't put that part in here. So obviously, this series is designed to make you lose your grounding in this reality. That's what it's designed to do. To make you choose avoidance and bliss over being a seeker. But God, of course, said, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." The devil wants you asleep. He wants you easily manipulated, withdrawn. He wants you tricked. He wants you choosing one of his paradigms, right or left, so that he can trick you into defying God. So don't fall for it. Stay informed and know that our eternity waits us on the other side. Our reward is in heaven for the things we do in this life. And never, ever, ever forget that. So let's go into the chat. Thanks for all of you that showed up today. And like I said, we'll be back Sunday. We're going to do the entire rest of the Manifest series because I think we cracked the code on Manifest. Because it's all about the new love. We heard Kamala Harris's words about the new love. Do you think that's an accident that coincided with the release of Brittany Griner on an airplane? They're manifesting the new love. That's what the Manifest series was all about. An airplane that it brings in the new love. There were two same-sex character storylines going on. Men and women in the series. Reunited, in the end, these two men, black men, were reunited as a gay couple. That was the final episode of Manifest. And that just so happened to coincide with this love story now, is what they're basically billing this as. Of Brittany Griner reunited with her wife from an airplane through a portal. So we'll cover all that on Sunday and look at how that ties into the Manifest series. Because at first I was like, what the heck is going on with this Manifest series? Because it was really lame toward the end. It got so bad. It got so cheesy. And I'm like, oh, it's the agenda. It's the love agenda. The all love all agenda. And that's what it was about. Now there's a sapphire theme to it as well towards the end. We'll get into all that on Sunday. How can an airplane bring... The airplane brings in the new love because the airplanes are portals. They're sky ships. In fact, they used to call airplanes airships. It's the same thing as an ocean ship. Remember your nested reality concepts. Don't ever get stuck in one meaning of something. An airplane is a boat, is a spaceship. They're all the same. And so this whole Manifest was about a missing passengers. And all the passengers have to work together to make it through the lifeboat. So they were essentially like Noah. And in fact, there was a Noah's Ark theme to Manifest on last season. Because they found a piece of Noah's Ark and it had sapphire in it. Well, here's the thing. Many believe that sapphire is what makes up the firmament. So you're going to see a snow globe explode, which is symbolic of the firmament, as they're talking about sapphire. This is what they really seek to do, is break through. The devil seeks to break through and elevate himself above the Most High. Well, how do you do that? You have to break through the firmament. That's what NASA's really doing. Trying to find a way to break through, aren't they? So, manifest is a portal. So the whole thing of this lifeboat and breaking through is to bring this new love agenda to the world through the portal so that it's commonly accepted. That's what the plane represents, a portal. It's to bring the world through into a new reality, a new understanding. And in the case of manifest, it's the, what do we call it? It's the agenda. It's the agenda of two people of the same sex loving each other and it being accepted. So, and that ties in with the Brittany Griner story. In case you didn't hear, she got traded and she's back. And you see the president up there with Kamala Harris in the background. They're all in tears because it's a love story. These people have children together that were created intravenous, what do you call it? And so they're reunited, right? So, of course, it would be Biden to be able to bring this love story to the world, right? Because the left believes in that, don't they? See how all this works now? I wouldn't be shocked if this whole thing wasn't somehow scripted to bring this issue to the forefront of our reality. It's everything everyone's talking about. This love couple reunited after the worst, trials that anyone could go through, separated for 9 months, which just so happens to be the gestation of the child in the womb, and she was released on Mary Conception Day, December 8th. We'll talk about all that on Sunday, you guys, because I don't want to upstage the show. There's lots and lots. We don't really allow promotion of channels here, so please don't do that. Gosh, we get trolled a lot, don't we, you guys? Gosh, I'm gonna put you on timeout. Yeah, please don't do that. That's not cool. All right, so that's what's going on. Of course, Biden now looks like a hero, doesn't he? To the community, to the LGBT community. They even overlooked a different guy. There's other people over there in Russia being held that have been there for way longer than her. One guy was in there like a decade, and lo and behold, they looked over him because he's not part of the agenda. It looks way better to free Brittany Griner, reunite her with her love, than it does to let go, release a heterosexual man. See the problem here? So, this is what's going on. All right, what else is going on in the chat here? Now, even though these are psyops, it's important to talk about them. We have to, because it's their agenda. And 99% of the people are believing the psyop. So this is why we have to talk about these things and the agenda behind it. I mean, who knows? I mean, really? Like, is this a real story? Like, maybe they paid this person. Hey, we'll give you $1 million. All you got to do is lay low for a while. Pretend like you're in a Russian prison. Obviously, why would Russia be sending videos out to United States media of a prisoner that they have? Oh, wait a minute. Isn't Russia so evil? And they don't ever make, rational decisions about anything. And they're so evil, right? This is what we're told in the media. But yet, we got dozens of pictures of her behind bars I could see them sending one picture out just to confirm that she was there for negotiation purposes. But here we got dozens of pictures of her hanging out, you know, never any emotion, no crying, no nothing. No, it looked like she was just fine, like freshly washed face. Her hair was kept, you know, there were no bruises, nothing. Oh, and all we kept getting for a whole 9 months was stories about, oh, how horrible the treatment was, and this and that, right? Every week there were stories. Well, now look. I mean, who's to say that she was really even over there? Who knows? This is where you get into the right-left paradigm, because I don't believe anything Russia says, and I don't believe anything our government says anymore. And then did this just so happens to happen on the heels of Harris saying that, you know, the Marriage Act and all this, respect for marriage, that no matter who you love, you should be respected and people should just love you and think that your marriage is great. And if we're getting to the point now where if you say anything outside of that, it's going to be considered hate. You can't even have an opinion about this anymore. You can't have an opinion about it anymore without getting cancel cultured. Which is why I'm being very careful with my words here. Now, I know some channels go overboard, but you can see the consequences of that. As soon as you step over the line, they start hitting you with strikes, don't they? I just saw it happen in a call for an uprising. They said it was that he had was calling for promoted violence against a group. Well, I think he probably went a little bit too far in a couple things that he said about how he feels about these people, and that's where they got him. Now, I'm not upset at him because he crossed over the line, but that's why you get strikes on YouTube. You can talk about this stuff, you just can't start saying how you don't like these people and stuff like this, okay? So we're just covering a story here. You guys can make your own decisions. We all know what our Bibles say about these things. All right. So, all right, what else do we have here? Yes, you're correct. It's not hate speech for them to make fun of Jesus Christ. You're absolutely right. Yep. Do as I say, not as I do. All right. Okay, you guys. Well, guess we're going to pop off of here. And I will see you guys on Sunday. I'm going to give you guys a kind of a day off. And you guys can hang out on tomorrow. Maybe get caught up. There's a lot of videos a lot of you haven't seen. Looking back at the videos we did over the week, we've pretty much done videos every day, and a lot of you haven't seen some of the videos. So take the time to get caught up. Every show is important because it leads to the next show. And if you start missing shows, you will probably be lost. I love each and every one of you. Enjoy your weekend. Take care and be safe.